Anthony, back from Vegas. Looks like I just avoided disaster, huh?
By seconds.
Dang.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality. Hey everybody, welcome to No Vacancy Live. I'm Super Sleepy Glenn, and that is Anthony Melchiori over there. Woo! Man, I got in last night, I think about 3 a.m. East Coast time, Anthony. So I'm a little tired today, but I'm still in better shape than you are, not getting any sleep on that red eye the other night.
Yeah, but you missed a big problem. The aviation system went down, and what was if you remember the saying from this show? Missed it by that
much. Who did it love? Well, Dave would not understand a good Get Smart reference, but I of course love that. Who doesn't love things like the cone of silence? And
oh my God, cone of silence is my favorite thing ever. Actually, if I'm in a meeting and things are important, I'm like, cone of silence.
Yeah. That was a TV show in the late '60s, and it was created by. It was created by Buck Henry, who's an amazing comedian, and Mel Brooks. People might know Buck Henry as the guy who would do appearances on Saturday Night Live against John Belushi's Samurai. So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so if you want to know,
I love you, man. You have all this unimportant information in that head.
I am filled with lots of unimportant information, but I'll tell you, crazy that the FAA was having this computer glitch and thousands of flights were canceled this morning. No word, over 6,000 flights were canceled by 11 a.m. according to Flight Aware through the AP that I'm looking at over here.
They're starting to get them back. Their system's back up and running.
Yep.
But the whole system went down. Like, I don't understand what's going on with aviation, man.
I know. It's absolutely crazy. I was just happy to. So last night I get into JFK and they put me in Terminal 4 at gate 47. So if any of you don't know, JFK.
It's an hour and a half. It's an hour and a half.
So I got off the plane at 12:07 a.m. So I have no foot count. I'm like, I'm gonna track how far this thing goes, right?
Wait, I'll tell you because I've done that myself.
All right, so hold on. From gate 47 to for me, I went to the baggage claim. So I'm gonna give you that number. But how many steps, according do you think it is? Not feet.
Between 7 and 9,000.
Maybe in feet, but it was 1,500. I had 1,507 steps on there, and each one is like 3.5 feet or something.
Wow.
Like so yeah. Took me 14 minutes to make that walk over there. JFK.
I made it the other day myself. That's where I went into, and I did something worse. I went into a men's room. This is late again, early in the morning. I went into a men's room. Yeah. And I got turned around when I came out of the men's room, and I went the other direction.
Oh no!
5 minutes in, I was like,
no.
This is what they said. 5 minutes in, I'm like, you're an idiot.
Because
I knew as soon as I looked up, I was like, I'm going the wrong way.
Yeah. All right. So listen, we kind of buried the lead here a little bit, talking about the FAA, although that's big national news. In our hotel industry, big news of the day is they couldn't wait 2 weeks to Alice when these big announcements that just happened. But Hilton announced the launch of Spark by Hilton, the newest brand in its portfolio. That's going to be in the premium economy lodging segment, they call it. And they say extensive research made them go this way. And they are saying that they've already got 100 deals in place, which is pretty much the same way that they launched the True brand, which has been pretty successful.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's a beautiful name. I love the name. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to have somebody on to talk about it. Well, as I was walking through JFK the other day, I don't remember the brand, but there was you're going down the escalator and there's a big poster of the brand with all of the brand names. And there was one that as I'm looking up, I go, crap, I've never seen that one before.
Right.
There's a brand I didn't even know existed.
There's a lot of them. Now, we got a great guest coming on today, but I'm going to make her wait just a minute or two. Sorry, Nancy. You got to hang out because I got a couple of pictures over here of Spark. And when Nancy comes in, we'll ask her opinion on this brand as well. So this is the check-in area. Remember, everybody, this is a premium economy. So overall, it looks pretty good for the price point that we're talking at here. That's a check-in desk. This is what the building looks like. Very traditional kind of a look. Looks like it's really ripe for conversion. Not quite that old school Hampton look but it kind of has that same essence that we see in a lot of mid-scale to economy hotels. Would you agree?
I love it. There's, as a, when I think I'm a fake designer, there's two things that stand out to me. One, I love the pop of color on the outside, but on either column driving into the hotel, I'd like to see one of those two columns, like one a blue, one a purple, to give it a little bit more pop. But absolutely love it. Go back to the first one, the first picture.
Yeah, check-in desk.
Yeah, and I love it because it, like you said, it feels like it feels luxury, a little bit more luxury than a regular economy hotel.
Right.
But again, I can't get my OCD going. Why is that painting a little bit lower than it should be? Well, maybe that was the intention, because it kind of, I like that it's a little bit off of middle.
I don't know. Maybe it's going to spark your creativity to
I'm telling you, that's been I cannot look at anything in a hotel and not go that way. Let's go to the bedroom.
Here we go.
Love it.
Yeah. Again, what I really like, and I think it was Red Roof when they reinvented the premium economy segment. They really upped the game, and all the other brands have been forced to do that as well. And I'll tell you, by the looks of this, it doesn't really feel at all like the economy segment. Now, this is an interesting piece here with the desk swivels over here to create more flexibility. What do you think of that concept, Anthony?
I like it. I like it a lot. Not only I like it, I absolutely love it. Because I like eating my dinner when I'm looking at the TV, and you can scoot that over. Think it's perfect. There's no chair. It's just an ottoman. Again, I love the versatile ottoman. I put them in the Staybridge Suites in New York. I love that. And plus, I'm not ever going to sit at a desk, so not having a chair doesn't bother me. Right. But there's no chair to sit at that desk unless you sit on the ottoman, which a lot of people would like to do. But there is a lounge chair in the room.
Now the ottoman thing is not my thing. I prefer a regular desk chair. However, I think that's an unrealistic expectation for me as a potential customer for this particular type of brand segment. So I think that's a great solution over there. A couple pictures of the bathroom. Again, good, clean lines. Feels really, really nice for the expected price point, I would think.
Listen, if I stay in this hotel, I am not going to feel any different than if I stayed in a 4.5-star, 4-star hotel. I really am, because that bathroom is everything. The going into the front desk is everything. Having a mini mart next to the desk is great. Even having that microwave there. If I don't have a microwave in the room, I just pop it in before I go upstairs.
Yep.
The breakfast room, like nothing. I'm not going to feel less than because I'm staying in a hotel that's not considered, luxury.
Yeah, look at this. And it's got nice breakfast and everything.
I love the design. I love the design. I love the simplicity. And I'll tell you something. It is much more difficult to design a simple hotel than it is a luxury hotel. And I don't care what anybody says to me. Because a luxury hotel, you have a lot of things you can choose from.
Right.
So you're basically bringing things in. The hardest thing is to do, and I'm not a designer, but the hardest thing to do is push things out and still get something that feels a little bit higher level.
Yeah, right. Again, I think they did an absolutely terrific job. But Anthony, we've got our very strong opinions. We have a guest today that also has plenty of strong opinions about things. She's a hotelier, consultant, author, and was kind of in the mix at the beginning of the boutique hotel movement, working directly with Bill Kimpton. Of course, I'm talking about Nanci Sherman. How are you, Nanci?
I am outstanding. Thank you. And I love being on this show today because I was the first general manager of the first Hilton Garden Inn.
No!
In Valencia, California. So I helped create the whole Hilton Garden Inn concept with Jim Abrahamson.
Wow. Jim Abrahamson is a great dude.
Great dude.
So tell me how you went about, how did you get that job? Tell me the origin of that.
My background was with Hilton Hotels. I was one of the first female general managers with Hilton. I had left to do some consulting, and Jim ended up bringing me back to be. It was actually my first GM job, and it was so. I remember the whole idea, the porte cochere, the everything. So one of the things that I learned from Hilton, and I love Hilton, and I love the way they've grown over the years, because originally I remember one of my roles as a general manager was to have everybody memorize the mission statement of the company, which had nothing to do with anybody who worked in the hotels. We are here
Right.
to provide for our shareholders, blah, blah, blah. And now they have a much more on point mission statement that really lights everybody up, guests and employees alike. But
Yeah,
we're
well,
also,
that mission statement is exactly right. They're there for the shareholders, but nobody talks about that.
Right.
yes, yes, exactly.
All right.
So, but here's what I look at. My whole thing in life is
Mhm.
bringing the mindset of a luxury hotelier into every business without any of the cost. Because more than anything,
Yep.
luxury is a mindset. It's how you make people feel. And the thing when I look at Spark, I wish they had called me, is because my first question is, what is the distinction? Okay, so they've got, from the hotel perspective, it fits nicely into their portfolio. But from a customer centric perspective, what is distinctive about this hotel? What is going to have me choose this over their competitors? Because my goal in my work is, if you are not number one in your comp set, there's a reason why you're not. There's something missing. And
So
that,
you, so one of the things you talk about is that you were at the beginning of the kind of boutique start of hotels, and I know you work for Kimpton. And Nikki, I had a chance of interviewing with Nikki,
That's Nikki Leandakis, the former president of
and
the company.
she's a rock star of rock stars,
yes.
and not a female rock star, just a hotelier rock star
Yeah.
that happens to be female. And I remember, I may have showed this story once on the show. I was offered to take over a couple of hotels in New York City for Kimpton. And the gentleman that is now, I believe this, I don't know if he left, but he's the CEO. He was a vice president at the time, flew me out there to meet with Nikki. I didn't take the job. I took the job somewhere else. And he called me up and used some language saying, you know, just so you know, when we fly you out to meet the chairperson of the company, that means you got the job. I didn't realize that. And my answer was supposed to be yes, but it was like, I didn't take it, which I don't know if it worked out or not, but so I'll never forget. But she was absolutely delightful.
I think you saw probably Mike DeFrino.
Yeah, there you go, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, he talks the way I talk.
Yeah, I've been trying to get him on the show for years, and he does
I
not.
can get him on tomorrow. Let me call him.
Well, you all should, if y'all could help us with that, you know, you and Anthony and Nancy maybe, because he's been rebuffing me. I don't know what the deal is with.
As you guys talk, I'm actually going to text him. Go ahead.
All right, that's a good idea. So Nancy, yeah, you know, I love what you said. I want to go back to that about a luxury experience, really, no matter what the price point. Not the exact words you're saying, but the essence of what you were saying there. And I think that's right, because when I'm paying a certain amount for a certain type of product, I have expectations of what that should be. And so I would categorize it as a luxury experience if they go above and beyond what my expectations are, with clean, comfortable rooms that make me a happy customer. So how do you think you could achieve that sort of greatness, even when we're talking about a premium economy product and not like a cool, hip, upscale product like when you were working for the first ever W in New York City?
Yeah. Well, I also ran the first rock and roll hotel in the world, which was the Triton Hotel. And boy, was that smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
But okay, so here's the thing. I've run luxury hotels. I ran the number 2 hotel in the country out of 50,000, Bartisono in Napa Valley.
Oh, wow. Bartisono is amazing.
Yeah, so I was the first general manager there when Remington took it over. And I also ran Miraval, the resort in Tucson, when it was the number 1 resort in North America. So I know about luxury and expectations. And I will tell you that most of the traveling public has low expectations because that's what we deliver. But the luxury travelers they want you to dip them in luxury. You know, they are so jaded that you really learn what you have to do to go in above and beyond. So I don't believe luxury is the thread count in the sheets or the marble in the lobby.
Right.
It's the way you make people feel. It's the personalization. I don't know why people are putting in a front desk when you only have 150 rooms. I don't know why you have a barrier.
Yep.
But
and that's weird. Hold it. I got to stop you right there, because there was a real trend in the industry to kind of get rid of that, create little kiosks to make it more so you could walk around. When Hotel RL first started, they got rid of that entirely and they met you with an iPad. What's going on with that? Why did we go away from that? One of the issues I know they had is people were a little confused about how to register. But then again, Moxie, you register at the bar, it works out pretty well,
Yeah.
you know?
Or, yeah. So one of the things we did, I would stay up nights at Bardessono wondering, it was the most expensive hotel transaction in history at that point. It was 1.2 million, 1.3 million a key. And I stayed up nights, like drenched in sweat. How do we stay above Auberge and
Right.
Meadowood and keep this number 2 spot? So we created what I call an identity statement. It's different from a mission statement. That it's an emotional statement that everybody can relate to. So what we created for Bardessono was exceptional by nature. And that was going to influence everything that we did. So I was looking at the arrival experience. I went, really good. Was it exceptional? No.
Right.
So what are we going to do to create exceptionality? Well, why are people standing behind a desk? We know when our guests are arriving. We know
Right.
what they look like. So you come out front. You've got a dog biscuit for Zorro. You already know if they enjoy red or white wine. You embrace them in such a way that they don't have to stand at the desk. Here's the thing. Most people conflate transaction with service. No,
Right.
that's a business deal. So service makes you feel like, it sets you up at the first moment. This is going to be different. They got me.
Yeah. For example, when one time I had the opportunity to stay at the Skylofts at MGM Grand, and they picked me up in this incredible vehicle, and I get there, and the team is there. Welcome, Mr. Hausman. It's great to see you. And they escorted me all the way upstairs, and the credit card scenario did not feel like, hello, what's your name? It was very personalized, and it didn't feel like a transaction because they did it in the room as well.
So Nanci, if we can go back real quick,
yeah,
because obviously you're speaking the language of, I love the language you're speaking. You didn't call it a mission statement; you called it an emotional statement. What was that?
It's actually, I just trademarked the term the emotional economy because that's where I'm going to take y'all.
Emotional what? Emotional.
The emotional economy.
But what was the statement that you said? Because I really like what you said.
I will send you some information. It's the identity statement, which is actually it's who you be, not what you do. It's not about the task that you perform. Going back to what Glenn said.
I'm stealing that, by the way.
What?
I'm stealing that, by the way.
Is it clean? Is it fresh?
Right.
Here's the thing. That's the expectation. People don't go back to your hotel because you met the expectation.
That's right.
People don't use an airline because their luggage arrived with them on time. And they go, oh my God, this airline is amazing. They go because something else happened. They touched your heart in some way.
Right.
They made you feel like nobody else did. And but so it's an identity statement. So
have you been to the one and only in Cabo?
I haven't been to the one and only in Cabo, but the year after I consulted with Windstar Cruises, they became the #1 cruise line in the world.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it was me, but I'll take the timing.
The one and only in Cabo, one of the things they do is when they greet you is they place their hand over their heart.
Right.
And that immediately breaks everything down and just made me almost like I'm at your altar and I am going to do what you tell me to do. There was something about that moment that changed me as a hotelier. It really did. I mean, I talk about it a lot, but it changed me because it made me realize that what we're doing, and I've always known this, but they did it in a way that no one's ever done it. By doing that simple gesture, connected us. And everything that is going to be something you want or a problem or a need or something you want to elevate to, we got you because you're in our heart. It really changed everything for me.
Anthony, you're speaking to me now with language. So I actually say there is a language to hospitality, and it's contained in the word upliftment. That the whole purpose is not to check people in, not to mop the floor, but that when people interact with you, you feel better because of that.
Right.
And somebody once asked me in the beginning of the pandemic, what day is it?
Right. Oh, we had that for months.
So I said, it's namaste.
Yeah.
Which in yoga language is the spirit in me recognizes the spirit in you. And that is exactly what they did at the one and only, because that is really, and if that's where we come from as a culture, we are going to blow everyone out of the
Okay,
water.
so I'm going to kind of back it up a little bit, if it's okay with my friend Glenn here.
It is, but let me throw this out. This is not coming out of nowhere. Nancy's got a great book, How to Win at Business, Transform Your Customer Experience from Amaze to Amazing. And I feel like we're kind of covering that territory. Anthony, take it away.
So one of the things, like, you're speaking the language that I understand, that people that listen to this podcast try to provide every day. So we understand that language. And some of the things you said are really uplifting, and really, even like I said, I wrote down a couple of things you're teaching me. But one of the problems, well, not one of the problems, the challenges, as you know, is how do you get your enthusiasm, okay, through not only your assistant and your executive committee, but the housekeeper. That has been something we've been really, 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 really bad at in our industry. So we could talk about connection and energy, and I hear a lot of people talk about that stuff, but no one ever explains to me how do I think I have kind of a way of doing it when I take over a hotel, but how do you teach someone, whether it be in automotive, how do you get to the mechanic, or how do you get to the housekeeper? How do you draw that all the way down, or draw that all the way through, I should say?
This is my life's work. Okay, this is going to be my legacy. Anthony, you and I are not done, because I just wrote a course called Dare to Be Exceptional, how to maximize market share in your hotel. And it's all about what you're saying. So one of the things that I do is I bring people together to whether on a corporate retreat, but people from all levels of the organization, so housekeeping, engineering, everyone, with the GM and such. And we create that identity statement. Then what we do is we take that identity statement and we incorporate it into the SOPs, including the emotional component. Years ago, when Four Seasons was writing their SOPs, at the end of it, they would say, why? Why do you go to the condiment board when somebody orders? I always believed in amuse-bouche for breakfast.
Right.
So you actually have to write it in. And I just wrote an article called "If You Only Read One Article on Innovation for Hoteliers, Read This One," because I believe we have a serious disease in the hospitality industry, and it's called the benchmark flu. We keep opting to get up to mediocrity. And I want to bring people together to create an idea factory in every hotel, and to find a way to incorporate every single.
No, I understand what you're saying, and listen, I think Glenn realizes that. I met my female.
Oh, I know this is great, and I'm exhausted today, so I love that Anthony's
but
got
I'm
these
trying.
questions.
But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to drill it down, because I get caught up in enthusiasm, and a lot of people do. But one of the things that people are really bad at is giving their employees the reason to come to work in the morning. Mm-hmm. And you can talk about statements, and you can be enthusiastic, and you can talk about shareholders, and you can talk about all the stuff you talk about. But how do I get that housekeeper in the morning to really buy into what we're selling?
Okay. First of all, here's the thing about our business. Nobody knows what we're talking about. When you talk about customer service, that housekeeper thinks customer service is where you go to Ross and return your shirt, because it says customer service. So they come into a hotel and we say, we're going to give you the best customer service. And they go, okay, I'll do the task. But nobody breaks it down. What does it feel like? And the thing about the identity statement, exceptional by nature, the thing is, go and look at your back of the house. These people who are housekeepers, I used to be a director of housekeeping. And these people are coming from not so wonderful surroundings. Let them walk into this hotel and know that this is where they're honored. This is where they get the love. This is where people put up their kids' pictures on the wall that they just drew. You create a sense of community. So exceptional by nature is, how am I treating my team? And here's what I do. I don't believe in training. I think training takes the gifts out of the people we hire. I believe in performance art. And people need to understand that you are not mopping the floor. You are creating a safe space for the people who are coming to you, this elevator with packages. So you don't stop mopping, you take the packages. People need to understand that there are no silos in our business. There is only the exchange of this. Yep. And when your people feel it from you, they'll know how to enact it. So I bring role play into hotels.
How many times, Glenn, have you heard me say, I don't believe in training, I believe it? How many times have you heard me say that?
Too many.
there has to be some type of training. There's where the computer is. This is how you push the button. But what you're talking about is, how do I take you as a person and incorporate you into our business? And one of the things we've been talking about recently is the culture. Like, this is our culture. Right. And I'm like, how do you serve both cultures, your culture and the business culture, and how do you bring them together? Because we've been really, really bad at that. And so everything you're talking about is hitting all those notes.
This is funny. I've brought hotels through 9/11 in New York City.
Which one?
To the Northridge earthquake. Oh, W New York. No, Shoreham. I was at the Shoreham Hotel at that time.
You went to Shoreham?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I brought them through a Northridge earthquake, race riots, and blackouts in New York City. And the only thing I will be remembered for is I brought over 15 hotels to #1 in their market, even out of bankruptcy. And I did it through the philosophy of the experience economy, which I'm now turning into the emotional economy. And so you have to be able to, this is a funny story. There's a really great hotel company, 5-star all the way. And I was interviewing as a general manager for them. And I was having lunch with the director of human resources. I hate that title.
Yeah.
And I said to her, so, what is your vision and statement? And she said, oh, it's great. We just went through this process and it's just great. So the server came to the table and I said, what is the #1 thing you took away from this fantastic mission statement? She said, oh, no. She says, I had the card. I left it in my pocket. It's at home in yesterday's uniform. So people don't really understand. Words don't matter. Action matters. And we need to break everything down for people. They don't know what service is. They don't know what luxury is. And I believe in role playing and allowing them.
I love what you said. You don't like the term human resources. I never thought about it again. But if you use the words human resource, that makes you a tool, a machine.
A commodity.
Right. Exactly.
Glenn, listen to this. I have never sat in a business meeting, a budget planning meeting, and talked about assets and ever heard them. I hear them to IP. I hear them to real estate. I've never heard anyone talk about employees and guests as our assets. They're our #1 asset. And the only difference between asset and ass is a T.
Right. And the other thing that we do is it's industry parlance in most other sectors as well. It's labor. It's not human beings doing stuff. So it's almost stripping the humanity out of it by the way you're identifying these phrases. And I suppose, and I'm just spitballing here, psychologically, it creates a negative mindset that you don't actually get into the spirit of what you are talking about here today. It leads you to that road of mediocrity that you were just discussing.
Yeah, one of the big complaints that I was actually talking with Ted Tang and Barak Hershowitz about how we were such a non-innovative field.
Ted Tang is the former president of, was it Preferred Hotels or
Leading Hotels?
Leading Hotels. Sorry. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And I met Ted consulting for him in the Pacific region when Starwood was coming together. But so the 3 greatest problems is hiring talent. But look at what we bring talent through when we're going through the hiring process. We have them sitting on metal chairs with some kind of, we don't let people know that we can be the employer of choice. We got to go back and look at every process. And I say standard operating procedures need to be formed to transformed operating procedures where you write the emotion into it. Forget SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. It should be SWOT. What's the emotional currency? Ted always liked that word. What's the emotional currency that we are bringing to every situation with guest, with employee? And I wrote a course, as I said, Dare to be Exceptional. And no general manager is looking at it because our egos are too big to learn anything else.
That's fascinating. Anthony, this is a different conversation than I think we expected to be having today, right?
Yeah. And if you notice,
expect a recipe.
Yeah.
And if you notice, I'm actually trying to take a really big back seat because if her and I start talking, no one will be able to listen.
Listen, but I could be here to translate for anything you all need.
Listen, it's everything you're saying. And the reason you've had such a successful career and you've been successful is because it's true. And like when you said human resources, what words do you use when you discuss the human resources department? Do you have a title for it?
Talent.
Talent. Okay. I love that. What would you say is, I feel like I'm in an interview right now. I'm interviewing you. What
you know how weird in your role as co-host of a Q&A show.
No, but like literally it's an interview question. What is your greatest talent? Would you say, Nanci? What is your greatest talent?
Oh, and if we're gonna go with that, and what would you say is your greatest weakness?
Right.
Don't answer that.
Wait, no, don't get in front of me. Don't get in front of me, Glenn. What would you say is your greatest talent?
I'll start with my greatest weakness. The Grateful Dead is my greatest weakness. My greatest talent is teaching people to be amazing with people, because my first book was a book on happiness, because I think happiness is the greatest business strategy of them all. And my first book is called Follow Your Bliss, Not Your Blisters: How to Live Unconditionally Happy. And, I feel like I need to, entertain people in line at Trader Joe's. I just want people to know that they matter. And I want to do it with joy and happiness and fun. And I just think, we haven't scratched what hospitality can teach this world.
So let me follow up a question. What is the thing that people could, like? I don't want to say what's the something that you get in trouble for, but that's really the question. When you walk into a hotel, when you take over a company, what's the time where somebody taps you on the shoulder? Nanci, I got to talk to you. This is what people are saying, and you need to kind of bring it in, or like you're scaring people. Tell me the thing that throughout your career people have kind of tagged you with.
They don't trust the enthusiasm. They think a shoe is going to drop. So early on, people don't listen to what they say, because you're the fourth general manager we've had in 5 years, so you'll be gone. And so I usually start with deep listening, and just really that spirit of just honoring people. And the acknowledgement is so lost. We don't know how to appeal to what people need the most, and that's to be seen, heard, and matter. And that goes to and recognized. And we have the most amazing people in our industry, and we don't even look at them to tap into their innovation. The lack of innovation is what's going to kill the hotel industry. Again, this is really funny. So Delta Airlines just announced that they are going to give free Wi-Fi to their.
I used it just yesterday, and it works as expected, fast and free. I love it.
Right. And what's going to happen? United, American, they're going to benchmark that, and they're going to do that for their people. So there's no originality.
Right.
And so people want to eck forward as resistantly as possible.
Right.
And we have to start from the future in mind. My future is I want to be number one in my comp set. I want to be number one in social media, because that's what's going to drive the first objective. And how do I do that? How do I send people home from my hotel? So someone says, "How was the job interview?" And you say, "Forget the job interview. Let me tell you about this hotel I stayed at." Yeah. That's the goal.
Yeah. So, all right. So let me ask you this question. When it comes to being innovations, we confuse what that is. I think we see, when you take a look at the breakfast wars, right? Innovation is, well, we have a signature cinnamon bun. Well, we do pancakes, but it's really all the same exact thing, but people are allowing themselves to feel like they've done something new. How do we get past that thicket of issues?
So once we came up with exceptional by nature, I was watching the maitre d' seat someone for breakfast, and there was nothing wrong per se. Again, know. And then I came to her after the shift ended, and I said, "Okay, so who's your favorite movie star or religious, whatever?" And she said, "Beyonce." Okay. Beyonce has just approached the breakfast, your station. Seat her for me. And the imagination, the role play, how she took care of her dog, and they walked the dog while she was having breakfast. The amuse-bouche. Who's ever brought out an amuse-bouche for breakfast? Just thinking beyond. The solution is never in the first thought, but you create an idea factory, and one of the things I created for Kimpton, it never got off the ground, but it doesn't matter. I created we had 15 hotels in San Francisco.
Right.
And I had the idea, and everyone, when I left Hilton, said, how can you leave us? What are you going to a dumb little hotel company for? Which they were then all vying for a market share.
Yeah.
So I said, why don't we get a concierge bus? And we'll have some of our recipes on there and for the restaurants, and we'll drive around and we will pick up people, in the Union Square area, and we'll turn them on to Kimpton. I mean, it was just, there were so many reasons not to do it. The homeless were going to get on, et cetera. But you got to get past that. People have to stop thinking about how are we going to do it, or is it in the budget? Accounting has got to stop thinking that $12 get on a Wi-Fi fee is going to make up for all of the lost room revenue because they didn't stay with you in the first place. Because orange is the new black, air is the new, Wi-Fi is the new air. I mean,
Yeah. That's absolutely,
and one of the things to go back, you said, they think their enthusiasm is going to wear off. And one of the things in listening to you, there's enthusiasm, but then there's what I call the crunch, what's behind enthusiasm. I remember when I took over the Algonquin, and the first couple of weeks, I have your enthusiasm. And so someone said, oh, he's eventually going to get tired. This is after I already told them, I understand you guys have had a lot of general managers and you're going to all be here way after I leave. I said, I just want when I come in and I sit down for a drink after I leave, that you actually serve me and don't throw something at me. So I work for you. And someone said, well, he's going to get tired. And someone had worked for me in the past goes, he never gets tired. And when you're working because you're passionate of bringing a spirit and happiness to people, my priority is to make the housekeeper feel she's the most important or he's the most important person in the building. That's my mission. My mission is to make sure that we all understand we work for that young lady or that young man that's cleaning 18 toilets a day. And that I remember sitting at one of my hotels, and we had a monthly birthday thing at one of our restaurants. And I asked the young lady sitting next to me, I said, I said something. I was like, so what should I get in? Because I was relatively new. What should I get on the menu? She goes, I don't know. I go, well, haven't you been here? Like, she was here 30 years. She goes, this is the first time I'm sitting in the restaurant.
What?
30 years. And the reason you're surprised and Nancy's not surprised is because Nancy's been doing this a long time. That is typical. That's
crazy.
That's typical.
That's insane. Because I think you look at the cab drivers in Las Vegas, right? And all the casinos let them stay for free, go to all the shows, give them all those benefits so that they could understand it and talk about it and be enthusiastic about it and drive business that way. So why aren't we doing that same sort of thing with our hospitality professionals? Very
Nancy.
One way to do that is I always thought employee of the month was dumb as shit.
Right.
Because first of all, we say, okay.
Did you say dumb as shit?
Yeah.
I did.
I love you.
Yeah.
Housekeeping. Okay, we did housekeeping last month. So let's do engineering. I mean, the whole thing was, and then how are you not acknowledging the thousands of hours that people put in? So maybe have an innovation award. Maybe have what's the best way to recognize you award. What do we reward people's ideas? And rather than, just treat them like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's so many ways for us to innovate in our industry. And it starts with the identity statement, because I'm exceptional everywhere.
But Nancy, again, I buy in everything you're saying, because you're talking to, we're from the same, cut from the same cloth. But out of 10 people that you hire, okay, I'm going to say in the management, mid-level to higher level management, how long does it take for people to start drinking the Kool-Aid? And how many out of the 10 are you expecting to say, Nancy's crazy, I'm leaving?
None.
How many do?
I got better through the years.
Okay. Thank you for being honest.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you
got
for
better
being
through
honest.
the years because I can be really 5 foot too scary.
Yeah. Nancy, I got a question for you. I think the insidious problem that we have is I'm not going to listen to what you say because I'm already doing everything the right way. I'm closed down. I'm not open to learning and understanding. How do you break down that barrier of people think they've got it figured out because they may have a couple of decades of experience and they know better.
Yeah. So, first of all, we established the goal because the goal is going to benefit everybody. If we have more market share, we're going to give you some. There's going to be more in it for you. Regular work. I mean, okay, prizes, whatever it may be. But if we set the goal, we want to be the number one at what we do. We want to appeal to people's hearts. If we appeal to something that means something to them outside of the hotel business, something that all people resonate with, hear me, see me, know, make me matter, we're going to start to win their hearts. And when we start bringing them in to the idea factory, right? So you're no longer, you're going to not do 4 rooms today because we have our monthly meeting and you're going to come in and everyone has to do a minimum of ideas so you don't get shut down. And you are now part of the process. Nobody likes to be told what to do, especially general managers, but nobody likes to be told what to do. But if you're part of the process, you're going to start spreading that. And when you've got skin in the game, it's going to really start making a difference. And they're like travel agents. Food helps.
Yeah. Food definitely helps everything. Anthony?
No, it's just everything you're saying is so clear. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people coming up in the industry that have that enthusiasm, and the day-to-day operations just start to destroy them, and they don't really get to that level. And so when you're around someone like you immediately you're in or you're out. You immediately know Nanci is intense. Nanci doesn't take any crap. Nancy's not going to get tired. And I'm either going to buy in or I am going to have a very long day every day, and I'm eventually going to quit. Now, I don't know if do you watch White Lotus?
Yeah.
Okay, so I had someone, my friend Joe, who runs Snow Operating, which is a company here on the East Coast, and he said, "You don't watch it? You're in the hotel business?" And I watched the first season. Immediately, I knew it was the Four Seasons Maui because I did the show there, 5 Star Secrets. And the general manager at first becomes like he's the guy, or the hotel manager. He's the guy you want to see at your hotel. He's amazing. And then little by little, the guest just beat the crap out of him to the point where at the end he winds up. Oh, I don't want to give it away.
Yeah, don't give it away. I haven't watched it yet, but
but at the end, anyway, it's just funny. Now, they did it in one season to kind of basically beat the guy down. It usually takes about 10 years for people to get to that point. But in our industry, when I was growing up in this industry, the number one thing, if you were a general manager, I would say more than 50% of the people I knew as general managers had a drinking problem. Would you say that's true, Nanci?
Definitely. Yeah, right. I've lost it. I've had absolutely.
I see that in all levels of our business, in my world as well. I've been in this business almost 30 years now, give or take a couple of years. And it's amazing how some people are still have those same habits,
But I really believe, and Nanci and I may have a debate here, Nanci, because I truly believe that there has to be, when someone gets on your team, there has to be the pedigree. I'm not saying you can't teach a lot of this stuff. I'm not saying they can't learn and can't be motivated. But there's got to be something in their system that clicks in, that just clicks. Now, you can get somebody who's really smart, really motivated, but that cylinder just doesn't ever click. Do you agree or disagree with me?
I totally agree. You got to hire enthusiasm. And so another thing about the identity statement is if I say to someone, we're exceptional by nature, that guides us. What does that look like to you? Tell me what that would look like for you. And if I can bring it out, even if they don't see it at first, that they can get it and they can get enthusiastic, I'll teach them Latin. I don't care. They'll learn. But one thing you said, Anthony, is the thing about we have breakdowns all day long in the hotel. But here's the thing, and this is what made Bartasono so great. Every day, the team and I would meet in the morning, and we would discuss every single breakdown. And the idea is, how do you create a breakthrough from every breakdown? So every breakdown is just a delightful opportunity to create a solution.
Yeah.
And not the one that fixes it, but the one that they do better than the competitors. And so if we're not attending to every breakdown, life is going to be putting out fires. I rather put out chocolates.
You know, in my business, we just opened a small hotel for an owner in Jupiter. And it's the first time I've been behind the front desk in a very long time. And I said, no, I'll be down there opening weekend. And I was behind the front desk. And I taught the young managers who've never, ever worked in a hotel before in their life, but they were exceptional young ladies. And when I say young, I mean like 23, exceptional. And they were going to run this 30-room hotel, and they're doing a great job. And I said, I'm going to teach you two things because I'm only going to be here for a day or so. And these are the two things. If you listen to me, everything else becomes easy. You have a red book at the front desk.
Yeah.
Everything that happens on a daily basis, everybody puts in the red book and you sign initial that you read it. That's number one. And number two, I want to know every single maintenance issue in the world. So here's your maintenance log. Here's your maintenance tracking. Here's your system. You do those two things and everything else is easy. If you don't do those two things, you will chase your tail for the rest of your life in the business. And when I took over the Plaza Hotel, when I was the director of front office operations at the Plaza Hotel, I remember those two things we didn't have. We didn't have a red book and we didn't have a maintenance log. And as soon as we incorporated those things, because in our business, it's not about fixing problems. It's not about solving problems. It's about preventing problems. And you just said it. You said two things today that I've never heard a person that has had your experience say. And I can't agree with you more. We have a lot of problems. Your job every day is not to solve the problems. Your job is to prevent them from happening. I remember there was one time I was in a hotel for over a year. We had no real negative reviews online. And people were like, how's that possible? I said, because we prevented them before they happened.
You know, one thing I just want to take up, one of my pet peeves, I always wanted a dog. I was going to name him Peeve, my pet peeve. But one of my pet peeves is that in the hotel business, we call people, we give them titles based upon the furniture they stand next to. So we have bellmen, we have doormen, we have front office. So one of the things that I did, and it was really funny. I was running a hotel in Atlanta. That was the second hotel accepted into the autograph collection. And my title at the time was the chief happiness officer. I was the CHO. Yeah. And Marriott thought that was the funniest thing they ever heard. And I always thought general manager meant I did nothing well specifically, which was true.
Right.
But so I changed everybody's title. So now everybody was a host. So there's a whole different expectation from a host because they don't have a limitation of I just stay at the door or I just stay at the desk.
Right.
And so we rewrote the entire standard operating procedure about how you welcome a guest, or if you see him in the pool, or if you're an engineer, or what it is. And we have departments, but they should only be for payroll purposes. We treat them as my job stops here. And
there's a company I work with, and they call it. It's a company as you mentioned before. They are a ski resort. And they don't have those departments anymore. They have trails, and you live on the trail. So if you're a person in front of the hotel and you're a person that's maybe giving a ski lift ticket, or you're a person giving out the poles, or you're a person inside helping with the computer, with the ticketing, because everything's basically through an app, you're on a trail. Okay. And all during the day, you go on the trail and you have like maybe 3 hours here, 3 hours there. So there's no more bellman department. There's no more ski lift department. You're on a trail, and the person in charge of that trail is called, hopefully they'll listen and they'll correct me. I can't remember what it's called, but that person isn't an assistant manager. That person is the person in charge of the trail. And I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was amazing.
Like a Sherpa.
What's that? Yeah. It really feels, when they were explaining to me, it really felt like people were really gravitating to, I am part of the business. I'm not just in my silo.
Yeah. What if we paid people based upon the number of times their name was mentioned in a
I think you incentivize that. But one of the things I've learned, because I've done that, where I incentivize people, when you have your name, you get a special whatever, it doesn't work. Because the person that just was born this way gets more. He got him before more than everybody else, and he gets him after more than anybody else. Nobody can compete with that level of enthusiasm.
Then make him the lead performance artist.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot what I was going to say.
I will say, let me throw this in. Anthony, I remember that story you told about the hotel that was incentivizing the bell people out front to pick up the dog poop, and they got like $50 for each time. So then they started arranging to have dogs poop out front so they could clean it up and make more money.
It was, yeah, it was, I don't want to go into the U word, but it was a U word situation. And yeah, so it's like, I don't remember where that story came from, but somebody told me that story. And I was like, it's like literally the guy incentivized the owners next to them in the buildings to have their dogs poop in front of them.
So, Nanci, quick topic change.
Daniel, I forgot that. That's a funny one.
That's a funny story. Daniel is asking, hey, how do you transform one's value of talent in hospitality? Do you teach them about the good, bad, and ugly early, or let them learn from person to person's experience and all of that? I think we're really getting into changing the perception of how I see people around me and value them, right?
Well, the first thing I would say is, when somebody new comes to work for you, don't just give them a book to read or put them in front of a computer and then have them shadow James, because it's like the telephone game. James probably recalls 50% of what you told him, and now he's going to share another. Right. So we really need to invest in that beginning part. Interacting with our guests should not be a training ground, because they are giving us money to be for us to be exceptional. So I really think we have to look at that onboarding process.
But how do you right? So how do you get? But you have to look at the onboarding process. But in order to get to that revelation, the individual has to get there themselves. How do you transform that person who treated talent as a resource or labor into understanding that they are the talent that you are saying here?
Listen, I know this is not a promotional thing for me.
No, it's fine. You could refer to somebody. You're gonna get your shameless plug anyway. You can take it early. Almost at that time anyway.
I wrote the course for hoteliers. It's the only course of its kind. They don't teach this in business school,
right? And
it is your competitive edge. And the course outlines how we train people, how we set up. I don't believe when I would start orientations, I would say to the team, welcome, guess what business we're in? And you'd hear the usual, we're in the hotel business with people, beds, food and beverage. And I went, no, that's all good. We are in the happiness business.
Right.
And no matter what we are doing, our job is to make people happier than before they ran into us. And so I just set it up as not even a commodity, because in a sense, hotels always were a commodity until, maybe Hilton came on board, and then, Schrager and the rest of them. But our job is to lift people up. And then you start building your conversation around that. And
so I'm going to challenge you in the sense of, when we first came in this business, you and I, it was, I'm not saying it was different, but it's a bit different isn't worse or better. It was different. Now in today's economy, where, someone is saying you have to, like Disney said, you have to come to the office at least 4 days a week. And it's like, no, I really don't want to come to the office 4 days a week, maybe 3 days a week. That conversation didn't happen back in our day, right? When we were coming up in this business, it didn't happen. So the number one problem is what people say, and that, whether I believe it or not is irrelevant, that people don't want to work, that people want time off, that people don't want to work holidays, that they don't understand that working a holiday is so guests are happy over that holiday. Yes, it takes away from your family, but if you don't really love what you do and giving that enthusiasm and that happiness to the employee, to the guest, maybe you're in the wrong business. So there's a different mindset of when we were growing up in this business, and I'm even seeing that with being around and hearing everything that's happening. I don't know if I would have tolerated the nonsense that I was put through back 30 years ago. I would start drinking this Kool-Aid where it's like, oh, he shouldn't talk to me that way. Oh, I could have an extra day off. Oh, I could do my work from home. Like, I would start kind of drinking that Kool-Aid. So how does your mindset transition to today?
I think people want to have more meaning and purpose in their lives. And I don't think there's a lot of places that they can get that. And if you set yourself apart and they get that they're going to have another family and another community here. And if they don't, free them, let them go.
Promote them to customer, as I say.
Yeah. One of the things I don't believe in is obstacles, and I don't believe in generalities. And I know that for every person that says that, there's someone else who would like to be part of something and like to feel something, would like to have something in their future that they can't see now. So, just pass them by. Don't even let them have misery. If they don't understand what they're up to.
So Nanci, I would like to give you the award for the person that made me write the most notes in the history of the show.
Yeah, I've never seen it. Usually when he's doing something like that, he's texting me that he wants the show to be over and to kill himself. But
everything you say is something I believe in, and so I just wrote it down just to kind of underline my beliefs. But I've never taken this many notes, and your enthusiasm is not manufactured. It is not. You were born with something that when I talk about that cylinder that clicks in, I think I was born with something that clicks in, that we don't get tired, that we get more motivated and more energy from longer hours and more chaos. But we start preventing the chaos because we don't like living in chaos. So we start making. You said the word. I remember you said, "Oh, happy." You have to make everybody happy. I kind of think of it this way. I want everybody to be comfortable. When a guest comes into my hotel or our hotel, I want them to be comfortable. So if they're having a funeral, God forbid, I want them to be comfortable. If they're having a wedding, I want them to be comfortable. You know, what's that old advertising? If you're comfortable, you can do anything. It's my favorite. It was my favorite advertising ever. It was the Holiday Inn Express that said, is that what the term was, comfortable?
Holiday Inn Express? No, that wasn't what they might have had something like that, but they're it was like the most famous tagline ever.
Yeah, but anyway, so to me, comfortable is happiness.
I was thinking I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night, and the whole theory behind that was because it was comfortable. You get a great night's sleep. You could work smarter. Yeah.
No, there was another brand that said, if you're comfortable, you can do anything. And I truly believe that. You know, we were in Vegas this weekend, which I'm never in Vegas on the weekend, but they changed the game and tried to be there on Saturday, Sunday.
I didn't get to see the game.
And Raiders Stadium's beautiful, by the way. And I was really kind of discombobulated on Sunday. And I kind of I just wasn't used to being out of my house on a Sunday. And the environment that I was in made me comfortable and it made me happy. Because even though I was discombobulated, I was just in an environment that made me feel like taken care of. So, you know, I think we speak the same language. What is the number one? I know we got to go, but what's the number one thing that is not open for discussion when you hire somebody?
Yes is the new no. So there's no, I think the old adage from, I think it was the Waldorf Astoria, the possible we do immediately, the impossible takes a few seconds longer.
That was right over the entrance as you walk into the Waldorf Astoria. And I have the immense privilege of, I don't have mentors. I have one mentor in my life, and it was Eric Long at the Waldorf Astoria. And
I knew Eric.
Well, Eric falls into two ways. Either you'll work for him for the rest of your life or you'll never work for him again. I was cut from his cloth, and I am an Eric Long fan. And I remember every time I went in to meet him, I would see that sign, and that sign meant everything. I loved it. And
I have a chapter in one of my "Get Off Your Big Butts," and I don't mean your tush. Yep. It's just butts stop everything. And people, you know what? If you don't want to go to the gym because it's raining, and I give you $1,000 to go, you're going to go.
Right.
It is amazing how we stop our lives.
If Beyonce's in the gym, you're going to go to the gym. Right. You're if you're a Beyonce fan, right. So to your point, you're exactly right. Eric Long, we were walking through the lobby one day and there was a long line, and he literally looked at the line. This is one of the biggest hotels in New York City, one of the most famous hotels in the world. And he said, why isn't whatever, I can't remember names, why is she on break? And where's Joe? And there's supposed to be 5 desk clerks, and there's only 3, and there's supposed to be 2 people. And I was like, he knew everybody's schedule. And this is the president of the Waldorf Astoria, and he knew everybody's schedule. I was really impressed by that.
There's some great hoteliers out there.
So Nanci, I've got 2 more questions for you. The first one you're going to give us a good shameless plug for the book and all of that again.
And hold it up as you're doing it.
Okay. So the book that I wrote, I actually wrote The Secrets of the Hospitality Business for businesses outside of hospitality. And it is called How to Win at Business, Transform Your Customer Experience from Amaze to Amazing. And actually, it's Jerry Anzarello, the vice chairman of Forbes, said Nancy's you know what? I need my glasses. I can't find them.
Yeah,
You
that's
know
all
what?
right.
You just give me an idea. I'm looking for
Jerry
somebody.
Anzarello said Nancy's brilliance is her ability to turn the nuggets of hospitality industry window into a full-fledged philosophy for work and life. But the thing that I'm really lit up about, and I want to get out into the world, is Dare to Be Exceptional, how to maximize profit in your hotel. And you can find it on my website. My website is called Dare to Be Exceptional. And I'll come along with it, and I will get you to number one if you're not there in your comp set, even out of bankruptcy. And I just, I want general managers to wake up less stressed in the morning, and people who serve the public to wake up with more joy and enthusiasm about their contribution.
Yeah, Jerry Anzarello, everybody, I would say I know Jerry, and he's a fan of the show, and
He's been on twice. Yeah.
We come from the same exact neighborhood, know the same people. And I would say the only other person that has the energy of Jerry is you. So it's very appropriate that you just wrote me a quote from him.
What is your neighborhood?
I was originally born in Brooklyn. Or I was born in Brooklyn, and now I live in New York, some part of New York, I'll say.
Yeah,
but we came from. I originally came from Sheepshead Bay. He came from Bay Ridge, Bensonhurst,
Forest Hills, New York.
Forest Hills. Okay.
Hey, I spent the first 3 years of my life in Forest Hills, Nancy. All right, Nancy. Last question I have for you: how many Grateful Dead shows did you see before Jerry's untimely passing in August of '95?
I would say about 15. I'm fresh from a Wolf Brothers concert with Bob Weir. That was pretty extraordinary. I'm living in Denver right now. I saw Dead and Company at Red Rock. And,
so Nancy, what I'd like to do,
I bid you good night.
Well, Nancy, you said, Grateful Dead's everything for you. And I would like you to commit to the Grateful Dead more, because Glenn, how many Fish shows have you been to?
Yeah, 175 or something like that. But I did get in a good 24 Dead shows between 86 and 95. So that
I think that that Robert Hunter wrote a great lyric for our business. Once in a while, you'll get shown the light in the strangest of places if you look at it right.
Yeah, it's true. Robert Hunter was, of course, the lyricist that worked with Jerry on a lot of the most famous.
Okay, can I tell you my favorite? Can I tell you my favorite? It's from Fiona Apple, and it's "Don't pull my trigger and blame my gun."
I love that. Nancy, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you. And do me a favor, hang out backstage, let Anthony and I wrap up, then we'll give you an official goodbye.
Okay.
All right? All right. Take care. Well, that was fun. You never know. Sometimes Nancy hit me up. She's like, hey, let me come on. I loved her spirit. I loved her energy. It's good to know that this was a really good educational show.
I literally made a really serious decision to throw it into second gear and let her just shine, because everything she said, I just wanted to pile on, because I loved her enthusiasm, and I completely connect. And there's not that many people I feel like. I always love all our guests, but same brain, Jerry Anzarello brain, love it. So I actually said, Anthony, you're the co-host. Let her talk. But it was hard. I wanted to talk even more than I did.
That's hysterical. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I thought this was a really, truly exceptional show. Make sure you share it with your friends, or just go ahead and tell them to download our shows on audio version. Find out Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, SoundCloud. You know the deal already. You download them from wherever you get your shows. We are there. Why not point people towards watching us too? Anthony's Fans Facebook page, my Facebook page, the No Vacancy Facebook page, our respective LinkedIn pages, YouTube, NoVacancyNews.com. It doesn't stop there. That was really fun today.
That was fun. And as you know, we're the place you come for up to the date information about the hotel business. So this just in from our producer.
Yeah.
You want to read it? Or you want me to read
it? I'll read it. Hold on one second. Universal has announced plans to bring a new concept for families with young children to Frisco, Texas. A new park concept set in a lush green landscape featuring immersive themed land celebrates Universal's iconic brand of entertainment, humor, and innovation, bringing life to its beloved characters and stories in ways that will wow even the youngest theme park goers. This, I think, is a direct move. Legoland just opened up a second theme park based on Peppa the Pig. And that is doing really, really well. So not surprised that people are going for that toddler audience, because
it's interesting. Nanci was talking about benchmarking. They just benchmarked that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. And remember, you've got one life, so blaze on and
be kind to yourself.
see you tomorrow.